Two questions have come up from the viewers of this series of restoration videos I'm doing here. One of them asked, how long do tubes last, and should you use a tube that's weak? If it's you put it in a tube tester and it measures weak, should you use it? Two very simple answers to both of those. Number one, you use a tube until it breaks. Tubes have lasted for 50, 60, 70 years. Stick them in the radio, you restore the radio, stick them in the radio, and they work fine. They work perfectly. It's amazing how long tubes will last. Should you use a weak tube? Of course you should. As long as the radio is playing well and you don't detect any audio problems or anything that's obviously bad going on in the radio being caused by a given tube or maybe two given tubes, then go ahead and play them. Play them until they quit, or until, like I said, they're creating an obvious audio problem, and you know it is being caused by that tube or by more than one tube. Change them out then. But don't worry about it. Just, burn those tubes out of those radios. All right. Secondly, a question came up is, how do you know, how did I figure out what wire is what on this transformer? It's interesting because when I first started out in radio repair, I had the same question. My God, look at that. I tell you, how do you figure out what wire is what? And if you hook up the wrong one, man, what's going to happen? Is this radio going to blow up or something? Well, no, the radio's not going to blow up. And I put off, I'll tell you the truth, I put off working on transformers for probably the first year and a half. I'd buy a radio and get ready to repair it or restore it. And I used to pray that the transformer was good so I didn't have to mess with it, because I didn't know anything about these things and I was afraid I was going to really cause a problem. Well, the big day came and I had no choice. I had to remove the transformer, and I had to mark each wire and then go to the schematic and take a look at it and figure out what was what. Well, let me see if I can make life easier on those of you who had that same problem as I had. And what I've done here, remember I told you there were 9 wires on this power transformer. And what I've done here is I've taken this section of the schematic and I blew it up. And here it is right here. And this section of the schematic contains the power transformer and the rectifier tube and the electrical cord plug right there. So let's take a look and see what we've got here. You wanted to, folks, I'm sure that the one feller asked the question about this, how to identify wires, but I'd be willing to bet lots of money there's plenty of others out there who have the same question. They just haven't said anything, or they haven't thought about asking it yet. 9 wires. Every transformer has a primary side and a secondary side. Now, sometimes the primary and secondary are just one set of windings here and one set of windings here. Others have more than one set of windings, which basically it's all one winding. It's just that they've tapped off different places in the coil of wire. They wrap it around. They just put a little solder one right there and run it out. Then they'll wind some more. Then they'll solder another wire on right here, and then they'll run it out. And then maybe another few turns, and they'll run it out. And when they get all done, they wind up with something that looks like this. That's all there is to it. It's not difficult. One winding on top of another. The second winding just has taps at various points along the way as they coil the wire. Pretty simple, really. So let's take a look, see what we've got here. We come in here with the electrical plug, and we come up, and one side of that plug, wires, power cords have 2 wires, and one side goes up and hooks to the on-off switch right here. One end of the on-off switch, and the other one runs in to the primary wire. One side of the primary of the transformer. The other side of the on-off switch runs to the other side of the primary wire. So now we figure out, we say, now which is one? Well, it's easy to identify when you turn the chassis over. You turn the old chassis over and you're going to see one wire coming from the wall socket, even if the wire has been cut. Let's say the wire has been cut and none of this is even here. You're still going to probably have two pieces of, a stub of wire that has two sides, one going to the transformer and the other one going over and soldering on to one side of the on-off switch. Those two wires will identify your primary. Okay, and on the other side of the transformer, you've got, now those are two wires, 1, 2. Now these capacitors you see here are Bakelite. They're inside of a Bakelite block, and I'll show you that later on in the restoration. We're going to have to open up one of these blocks, take those two capacitors out of there, and put new ones in. Remember, two wires from the power cord. One goes to one side of the primary winding. The other one goes up to the on-off switch, and then the other side of the on-off switch goes to the other side of the primary. Easy to find, and you can ohm them out. To find them, you can just touch your multimeter lead here, and touch your other multimeter lead down here to the wire, anywhere along this wire, anywhere along there, and you should get, in this case, it says 6.5 ohms. 6.5 ohms. That's pretty cool. They even tell you right there. Not all schematics do that. Let's find those 9 wires on the schematic. One side of the primary is number 1. The other side of the primary is number 2. And we can number any way we want here, but they have it numbered, this one number 3, the center tap number 4. There's your center tap, splits the winding into 2 pieces, top and bottom. And then we got number 5. Then up here, which is the filament for the rectifier tube, it's number 6. And the other side of that is number 7. And then down here, the filament string for the rest of the tubes, which is number 8 and number 9. There are your 9 connections that correspond to these right here. These 2 red wires are the largest part of the secondary, and we'll mark those here in pink. One side goes to the plate pin number 3 on the tube. The other side comes down and connects to pin number 2, which is the other plate. The center tap, which is this orange wire right here, I have made it orange. It was probably red in most radios, but I made it orange, as I said, because I want to be able to find it quickly. The center tap I made orange. The center tap divides the largest part of the winding in the secondary into 2 parts. So we have equal voltage on each side. Equal voltage feeding this plate right here and this plate right here. In order to find, all I would have to do actually, if these wires were connected properly to the 80 rectifier plate pins, all I'd have to do is put my multimeter here and the other lead here on pins 2 and 3, and it would give me a continuity reading all the way around. Now, according to this, it should read 290 ohms. However, if I go from the center tap this way and take a reading, and the center tap this way and take a reading over to this plate, I'll get half that amount, 145 ohms or thereabouts. You know, it'll never be exact on these old radios. So what I did was, I had a couple of wires. I just kept taking my multimeter, going from one wire to the next, to the next, to the next, until I found 3 wires, which would be this one, and this one. And they were all white at that time. I found 3 wires that all had continuity. And then I checked back and forth between them, and I found the 2 that had around 290. And then I said, well, if this is 290 across there, then the other one that I had left over should read about 145 to each of the other wires. And that's how I was able to find which wire went where. And the reason I did that was because I didn't know, with all the stuff that had happened to this radio, I didn't know if they were even connected properly to the proper pins. You can't never assume anything after a radio's been messed with by someone years ago. I was looking for 290 ohms between 2 of these wires, and I found it with these 2 red wires, which were, like I said, white at the time. And it turned out they were hooked up properly, because this one says pin 2 and this one says pin 3. So they were in fact hooked up properly to the two plates, pin 2 and pin 3. Lucky me. And then once I found my 290 ohms, I searched the rest of the wires until I came up with 145 ohms between one of the wires. And when I found it, then I knew I had the center tap. So then, just to be sure though, I measured from the center tap to the other red wire looking for that 145 ohms, and I found it. So I then knew these are 3 wires were these 3 wires. I hope that's not too confusing. Alright, we've identified 5 wires, which still leaves us 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. What we've got left here are a wire here, a wire here, a wire here, and a wire here. But which is which? They both say 0.1 ohms. They both should read 0.1 ohms. Well, wonderful. This one here, if you'll take, I'll use blue on this. This one here, one half of it goes around and comes down and connects to the pin 4, which is the heater. The other half of it comes in from the other side and connects to pin 1, which is the other side of the filament. This is a filament, not a heater. So when I looked on the 80 tube pins 1 and 4, there were 2 wires there. So I touched my multimeter probe here, of course, and I touched it here, and I did get a continuity through there. But the question was, again, geez, are these the wires that are mistakenly soldered there, or are these correct? So I had to go down and look at the other wires that I had left, which would be these 2 right here. And they were white wires. Again, these were all white. Or kind of funny, funky, dirty white colors is really what they were. So I had to determine whether these were right, or did I have to move these wires to here and these wires to here. I didn't know what anyone had done in the past. According to the schematic, one half of this setup is grounded. Look at there. There's a ground symbol right there. And if you look at all the filaments on all the tubes, you'll see that one side of the filament is grounded. Well, that was my clue. I looked at these 4 wires and I found which one was grounded. And it was one of these right here that I eventually put a green wire on. It was grounded to the chassis. It was soldered to the chassis. Well, I can eliminate that right there. That's 1. Now I'm down to 3 wires. Now the question is, which of these 3 wires will this ground wire ohm out to? And it turned, I put a multimeter on that one, then I touched each one, and son of a gun, it came out to be this one here. These are the 2 wires that these 2 wires are. And these 2 wires, because one side is grounded, are the 2 wires that go to the filaments on each of the tubes. Ohmed out perfectly. Labeled them. Which left me with these 2 wires right here to the filament on the tube. I ohmed them out, and sure enough got continuity again, but I went ahead and made those 2 brown in color. I didn't want them all the same color there, so I made the 80 filament wires brown. These 2 ohmed out the way they should. These two ohmed out. One side was connected to ground on the chassis, and all the rest I showed you how I did it. Now, how about that for a ball of spaghetti? If you have any questions, just post them on the video. I know that was from practice and everything, I know how to do it, but it's very difficult to explain it all in a short video. I probably confused the hell out of some of you, but get with me and let me know, okay? One more thing I want to leave you with. I had a Atwater Kent 856 that I repaired one time, and I identified all the wires in the transformer, just like I showed everybody. But when I got all done, I had an extra wire, an extra black wire. And I had labeled it when I removed it from the chassis. And that extra black wire connected to ground. Came out of there and it connected right to the chassis. And I asked around, I said, hey, and it ohmed out to no other wire. None of the wires ohmed out to this thing. So I asked around, does anybody know what this is? What is this wire? What is this little black wire coming out of the transformer? It was only about that long, just enough to get out of that transformer and get soldered to the chassis. What is it for? Well, nobody knew, and as time went on, I eventually found out what it was. Some transformer manufacturing companies put a metal shield between the primary and the secondary, just like you see right here. And then they connected a wire to it and ran it to ground. The purpose of that shield was to prevent arcing between the two windings. If an arc were to occur, it would hit the shield, the metal shield, and it would come down and instantly be taken to ground. The other reason is the shield reduced capacitance between the primary and secondary. So it served two functions. So if ever you have a transformer, you've identified your primary wires, your secondary wires, your filament wires for the rectifier, your filament wires for the rest of the tubes, but you're left over with this little short wire connected to ground. That's what it is, the shield that they've installed. Not every transformer has it, but some do.